Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet again another fabulous episode of Sports Nonsense and Whiskey. Doing the virtual thing. SP has some business preoccupations that he's got to take care of, something about employees and children, and we'll see if he wants to explain it next time he's available. But Tuesday, July 19th, hanging out with my guy Pinky. How you doing, buddy?
Oh my man, it's been a good week. It's been a good week.
Living the heat dream down in Phoenix, right?
You know, there's something to be said for being in Satan's asshole.
I
Um,
don't know.
it's it's crazy, man. Like
What do you got? Like 112 right now?
yeah, and
Yeah.
I will say at least like today's the Saturday, Sunday, fourth day we've been down here. Like it's 112, or it has been this afternoon. It didn't feel as bad as it did like Saturday and Sunday.
Mm.
The
I
temperature's
mean,
been
if
pretty
you're
much
just
there.
going outside, inside, it's you can deal with it. But if you're trying to like do anything outdoors, like for a prolonged period, and when I say prolonged, I mean more than 5 minutes, it's miserable.
My oldest is in heaven. He loves it. He's
Oh,
wearing
I
like a
can't do
flannel
it.
button up.
Yeah, I'll do that down there, and I don't get it. I've seen UGG boots in the middle of the summer. I don't understand myself, but to each their own, I guess.
Yeah, we went down to a movie theater that's right on the ASU campus, and just like we couldn't figure out where to park, finally found where to park, then had to walk around to find the place because it's like in the middle of this little
Yeah,
area,
downtown
all gated
Tempe.
off. Yep. And it was just hot. It was just hot everywhere. It didn't matter. Thankfully, the movie theater was nice and cool, which was good.
Yeah, dude, they
There's been
put the AC at like 80 and it feels amazing.
it, the Airbnb we're in 75 is what it's set to,
Yeah.
and most of the rooms are good except for the living room where the big TV and everything is. If midday, it is hot in that room because the air conditioning doesn't really do a good enough job in that room. Every other room,
76 during the day is all right. I find myself needing it to be a good 4 to 6 degrees cooler when I try to go to sleep, but it works out.
yeah, that's me. We've got a fan on us. Like we've got the air conditioning and then we've got the fan like that's blowing on us. And that's at least helped at night. But yeah, it's so check off Arizona as a place I would ever consider living.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember I tried to play golf down there in the summer one time, and I was like, well, if I go off at like 6 o'clock, I should be all right. We started hitting balls. I think our tee time was 6:45, and I was like, well, I can sneak in 9. So I went to go hit some range balls to warm up a little bit. By 6:30, I was like, this isn't happening, and we were like, never mind, cancel all of those plans. Yeah, I just can't do it.
I was chatting with a buddy who lives down here, and I was like, "Hey, man, like, what do you guys do in July and August?" And he was like, "Nothing.
Yeah,
Like, you don't go outside." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's too hot. You don't go outside.
you might spend some time in the pool, but that's about it.
That is it. That's all we've done.
Yeah,
That's literally all we've done."
and it's
And
funny because like people are like, well, Colorado, man, that's got to be terrible during the winter. I'm like, yeah, we don't really go outside in February and March. What's the difference? At least the rest of the year, I'm comfortable.
no, we still go outside.
Well, I mean, if you're going like skiing or something like that, maybe, but February for sure is a nasty month in Colorado. It's not. That's usually the worst month of the year, historically speaking. But like January, man, we'll get 60s.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
So, like, I'm much more about this weather, and I'll take my snow days here and there and be good with it.
To each their own. Some people
I
might
guess
enjoy
so.
this. I do not.
Not my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea. But I guess they're what we consider the nice months to be outside right now. I mean, even back here, it's been 90s, which is a little warm for my taste.
Oh, if it gets close to 90, I'm complaining.
Yeah, high 70s, low 80s, perfect.
I'll tell you,
September.
man. So, been trying out different. There we go. Product placement, right?
Basic bitch drinks.
Yeah, I've been trying them out. You know, the lower carb ones, right? Watch the
All right.
figure.
All right.
But so I just tried different ones. I got the Topo Chico. I've done the Corona. I've done the Bud Light. I was like, oh, White Claw. This is a different White Claw called Surge, and it's 8% instead of like 5. I was like, awesome.
All right.
They're not good.
That doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all.
But if I buy them, I got to drink them. So
yeah, you know, it's you gotta man up and make sure your wallet doesn't go to waste. I understand that.
That was
cheers, buddy. Choice. Cheers.
I'll get the real drink for that one.
So, when are you coming back?
We leave Thursday morning. We'll be back Thursday afternoon.
You flying or driving?
Driving.
Oh, man.
We drove. It wasn't horrible.
It's not awful, but man, that 12 hours is long. There's a couple stretches that from here to there that are, if those stretches weren't as bad as they were, it'd make it a little bit better.
The worst stretch is from basically once you get into Arizona to this area that we're at in Phoenix or Scottsdale.
No way, dude. That Flagstaff down to Phoenix is an awesome drive.
It didn't take us Flagstaff.
Oh, you went through Payton?
Yes.
That's beautiful, though, man. All through all those mountains and everything.
Beautiful for everybody but the driver who's having to do the curves. And
I mean, you know, I guess so.
The minivan was like shaking when we were braking or downhill. Shaking. So, you know,
I'll be honest. One of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen was coming out of Payton down into Phoenix. When was that? I think that was one of the summers we came down. But oh my gosh, purples and golds and reds and yellows right over the mountains, sunbeams shining through the clouds. It was just gorgeous. I love that area.
Very gorgeous area.
But yeah, the mountain drive is a little bit windy and sketchy at times.
We did. I did notice because I don't normally do a lot of driving, but I did some driving to help the wife out. We were tired. I had a pinky moment. Went out drinking the night before we left.
Ooh.
Didn't get up till didn't get home till 1:00, and then got up at 3:45 to start the drive.
Whoa! You guys left that early?
We left. We got all the kids out of the house by 4:00, and we were on the road.
Yikes, man! No, 6:00. You gain an hour going out there, so 6:00 is a good time. That puts you there at 5 their time.
We got here at 3:30.
Yep, that sounds about right. If you leave at 4:00,
we did it. It was good, but there were some shenanigans that happened when I was out. My buddy was texting my wife, and we're headed home, and that was at like 9, and I didn't get home till 1. So she stayed up worrying for me. Didn't really sleep. So neither one of us really slept. So I did I took a little nap after we got going. And then when we got to Las Vegas, New Mexico, I took over. I drove through all of New Mexico. The space between Las Vegas and Santa Fe is gorgeous.
Yeah, dude. That open plain area and the mountains off to your right. West, if anybody, but you're heading south, so they'll be off to your right with those huge plains everywhere.
That's
beautiful. A good little area going down into Santa Fe and Albuquerque.
So that was a good spot of the trip. So it was good.
I hate the stretch from outside Albuquerque until you get to basically Arizona, Holbrook, Arizona, which is a good 4.5 hour stretch or so, 4 hour stretch. That western New Mexico is not fun.
It's not great.
Terrible.
We always stop and Gallup, and we're just like, I don't know why anybody would want to live here.
Dude, yeah, we don't. We try not to stop and Gallup anymore because last time we did that, we decided we'd get some food and gas up. It was not good. Not good at all. So we try not to do Gallup anymore if we can avoid it. Try to get snacks and Flagstaff if we didn't already, and we try to make it to Albuquerque before we have to stop again.
Well, we stopped at a gas station that had a Subway, and then sure enough, we got Subway for lunch. We go out. We're walking back to the minivan. There's some lady getting arrested right next to our minivan.
Like yeah, right Gallup's an interesting location for sure.
Somebody's excited to see you.
Yeah, I know. I got dogs playing in the basement tonight. They are an excited bunch, apparently. I just had the cat run through here. He's getting ready to attack somebody. So, yeah, everybody's having a good Tuesday.
So, on the nonsense side, wanted to mention two things. I did watch that Adam Sandler movie, Hustle. Did you check that out yet?
I've heard it's good. I have not had a chance to watch it yet, but I've heard it's good.
For any sports guy, it's just a good feeling movie. You see a little bit of behind the scenes on how a scout for the NBA works, which is good. And it's just kind of a heartwarming movie. It's really good. I would definitely recommend it. And then I've been hooked. We watched half of the newest season that loaded, but Alone.
Yeah, I couldn't really get into that one.
You know, I've learned
like by Naked and Afraid, but with one person instead of a partner.
Well, yeah, you have no partners. You're alone. There's 10 people, $500,000, last man standing. You can take 10 items with you, and you got to live, pretty much live off the land. So I've been intrigued, although I've looked at it and been like, there's not one thing, and maybe this is just me. There's not one thing on here I could do. I don't think I could go out and catch fish. I don't think I could bow hunt a deer. I could pick some berries and eat berries. I could pick ants and eat ants. I could do that.
The difference between growing up in Widefield and Monument, we spent our weekends on the mountain camping, but half the time you go up there with nothing, so you got to figure out how to do a fire and figure stuff out.
Yeah, that's been the big one. The wife, she basically was like, besides you not being able to do anything, after 3 or 4 days of not showering, you'd have been like, I'm tapping out. Get me out of here. Because, I can't do it. I can't do that. I feel gross after like a day.
Yeah, see, that's the kicker, though, is it's like, honestly, it's like day 3 or 4 when you just are used to it all of a sudden. It's those first 2 days that are the tough days. And then by like 3 or 4, you don't even really realize it anymore. And so you kind of get used to it. So I think you'd be all right. I think you'd be all right.
You go out there and you're doing all that hard work. And
oh, I'm with you, man. I love showers as much as anybody. So I understand. But I've been there, camping 5 days, no shower. There's a point where it kind of levels itself back out.
So this one's up in British Columbia. And it's on Grizzly Mountain is what it's considered. There's grizzlies everywhere. I'm pretty sure I'm getting mauled by a grizzly because I am taking a bath like every day in the water, and the grizzlies are probably going to get me. Who's the sneaky dude out there?
There's a lot of people who don't do mountain cats, mountain lions, bobcats, that kind of stuff. Those don't worry me as much as the bears. Like if a bear really wants to get you, there's not a whole lot you're doing to avoid that situation. Like a big cat, honestly, like it would suck and you'd probably get injured, but you have a decent chance to fight that off. A bear, if a bear wants to attack you, you're not punching your way out of that. Like unless you get it right on the snout and just pray to God that it doesn't want to deal with it anymore.
John is absolutely correct.
Oh, you guys.
And the other fun thing that's happened on my trip is the day has finally come that my son can beat me and drown me in the pool.
Yeah, well, Caleb's like, I mean, he's noticeably bigger than you these days, so that's not a huge surprise.
He's 6'5", 240. So
Yeah, it's not like he's like your size or slightly smaller, and you're saying that he's a built young man. I mean, geez Louise.
I've been trying. I can't anchor in the pool. That's the one.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. The other problem is with the pool, he gets that buoyancy. That makes it even worse for you. There's no hope there.
I was able to get him one time when we were close to the stairs. I was able to knock him over and land on him into the stair.
Yeah.
He was like, "Dad, that hurts." I was like, "Yeah, remember that."
He's about to learn that dad fights dirty.
Oh, he knows. I pinch. I do what I got to do. I think I hit a sunburn today. Like I do what I need to do. I'm not afraid to get a little dirty.
Oh, my dad, I remember there were times like he'd like rub his watch through you when he like would hold you down and stuff, and you're like, hey, and he's like, what? You started it. I'm gonna finish it. It's like, Dad, like, so yeah, my brother and I'll never forget one time my brother and I decided we'd take him together, and we were starting to get the upper hand, and he just swung backhand and caught a watch to the side of the head, and I was like, I'm out, and I started like walking away, and he snatched my brother, and my brother's like screaming for help, and I'm like, dude, I'm still seeing Tweety birds above my head. Like, you're on your own at this point in time. So nope.
He has now become a large enough man that I will not mess with him.
It's probably wise because he is a big boy.
But been a great time. You know, those are a couple things. We just watched TV. We've hung out. I've got all of them. My oldest was able to come. It's kind of funny. My oldest actually comes back down to Arizona for work in 4 days.
Oh, geez.
Once we get back, he'll be home for 4 days, and then he's coming down here to help set up a noodles and company down in Arizona.
Fun.
So
hey, while you're there, I don't know if it's still going on, but there's I think it's the Scottsdale Botanical Gardens or something like that, and there's a Chihuly exhibit.
Yeah.
That's, if you get a chance, you guys need something to do. That's really cool to go like dusk and at nighttime if it's open late enough. All his blown glass, they light up, and that's I've done that once, and I just recently read that he's got an exhibit open again down there. So you want something cool to do, that's always fun.
Yeah, we had thought about doing that. We were trying to get it when it was earlier in the day when it wasn't so damn hot, but we can't get the kids up that early.
Nah, go at night. It's even cooler. Because they backlight all the glass, all the artwork and stuff. And so it all glows, and you see the different little specks and stuff that he puts out through it. So it's pretty awesome.
I'll have to take a look at that. We do. The only thing we got planned for tomorrow is we're going to do a restaurant here in town. We're doing the Carlsbad Tavern. It's got really good reviews. We're going to go check that out.
Cool.
Get some drinks, some food, just have a good family evening, clean up the Airbnb and pack it all up and be ready to leave Thursday morning.
Nice. Well, glad you're having a good trip, buddy.
It's been good, man. It's been good. The family's relaxing. That's all that matters.
Absolutely.
Let's talk some sports, man. I've been out of it, so you tell me what's going on.
Well, so weekend there was a huge golf tournament. I had previously discussed 150th British Open, not the British Open, the Open, but Americans know it as the British Open for the most part. But it is the Open, oldest golf tournament in the history of golf. Played at St. Andrews, which is known as the home of golf, where golf started, the granddaddy, if you will, the OG. Great tournament. Rory looked like he was going to be able to pull it out. Would have been a huge win for him, but he didn't lose it. He didn't play great enough to go out and hit a huge number, but he played well enough to win, except for Caleb Smith coming out of Australia, just went off Sunday, and he won. He won the tournament. And there are reports out yesterday and today that he might be leaving the PGA Tour for Live Golf.
Yeah.
So that would be quite the blow for the PGA to have the Open winner, as soon as he wins, move over. So there's some names that are starting to defect, if you will. And damn right, man. Get that payday.
I can't
Barkley has said he would listen if they wanted him to announce some stuff. He would listen. Didn't say he'd do it. He didn't say he wouldn't do it, but he did say he'd listen. He'd sit down with them. Faraday, I don't know if you're familiar with David Faraday. He's kind of the he's the who could I relate him to in football? I don't know, but he's like the John McEnroe. You know John McEnroe for tennis.
Yeah.
He's the John McEnroe for golf. David Faraday. He is leaving NBC and the PGA Tour to go announce live golf tournaments. So there's definitely some big names starting to leave and move over. So, when they're giving you guaranteed contracts before you even play a tournament, it's really hard to ignore that money. I also think that I had told you that the Open and the RNA, which is the British version of the PGA, the PGA, or not the PGA, I'm sorry, the USGA, United States Golf Association, the RNA is their version for Britain. They had told Greg Norman that he's not welcome. Don't come. We're not going to let you in. Real petty stuff. Well, Greg Norman's from Australia. Greg Norman is the, CEO of Live Golf, the GM, whatever you want to call it. Caleb Smith's from Australia. Just won the Open. RNA said Greg Norman couldn't go, and all of a sudden Caleb Smith is looking like he's defecting to the Live and Greg Norman. I don't think that's a coincidence. Very well could be, but it's a little suspect to say the least. So that was great. Really good golf tournament. Love watching the Open, and the golf over there is so much different than what you play here over in the States for the most part. My head just totally went blank on the type of course that it's called, but basically the ball runs a lot more over there. You can hit a 250-yard drive that rolls another 150 yards, 200 yards. Huge greens. You're talking greens the size of football fields. There might be 2 flag sticks on the same green. So very unique the way the course is set up and the style of play you use over there compared to a lot of the courses over here in America. So really fun to watch. Great tournament. If you didn't watch it this year, I highly recommend you check it out next year because it's just different and it's fun. Other than that, there wasn't a whole lot else going on this weekend up until last night, and we got the home run derby. It was a good home run derby. Good home run derby. Rookie, oh gosh, I'm going to draw a blank on his name now. Julio Rodriguez went off the first 2 rounds, 32 and 31 home runs, and then lost in the finals. He had 18 and Juan Soto had 19. Kyle Schwarber shit the bed and lost to Albert Pujols. He was some people's favorite to win. Alonso just couldn't quite get it done. Didn't have a bad home run derby, but fell short in his three-peat. The biggest takeaway I had from that home run derby last night is if I'm entering that, I am finding somebody who can throw the ball exactly how I want, exactly where I want every time. Some of these dudes throwing these balls to these guys were throwing like cutters and curves and sinkers and like, dude, he said he wants it up high, inside. Don't throw it low and outside. Like, what are you doing? Like, ridiculous. Alonso wanted him high. Kept saying high. Everybody knows he wants him high. His dude was throwing like change-ups down low. Like, no favors done. So I would be very picky about who I pick to be throwing me those balls in the home run derby. But it was fun. I always love watching the home run derby. It was a good outing. And then we got the All-Star game tonight. AL has just tied it up 2-2. Oh, just took a 3-2 lead off a Buxton home run. Woo, boy. 3-2. It's a good game. NL's trying to break the AL streak. I think the AL has won something like 18 of the last 20 All-Star games. Not a good look for the NL. So it's been pretty bad for the All-Star perspective. Kershaw started. Shohei Ohtani led off for the AL, so that was fun. Ohtani will be pitching as well tonight at some point, they said. So he'll be the first guy to hit and pitch since I don't even know when, long time ago. So he's the AL favorite for the MVP again. Just doing crazy things this year.
It just sucks, though. No matter how good Ohtani and Mike Trout do, that team still sucks.
Yeah, I mean, what's really funny is everybody was blaming Joe Madden, and they fired him in, I want to say beginning of June, end of May, somewhere in there. They were like 20-28 or something like that when they fired him. Since then, they've gone like 8-24 or something like that. So they're like noticeably worse since they fired the guy who they blamed it on.
Two of the best guys ever having a great seasons, and it's not matter. It just doesn't matter.
That front office is trash. I mean, plain and simple, the Angels front office is trash. I'm still amazed Trout decided to sign a long-term contract with them. But I think he likes it because Anaheim is considered a small market simply because they're in LA and the Dodgers are who get all the press. So Anaheim can kind of go under the radar. And Mike Trout isn't really a public figure for baseball. He just doesn't want to be, which is unfortunate because baseball should be promoting him a lot more than they do. There's no way Ohtani's signing with the Angels. There's no way. I can't see him signing an extension with the Angels. So they'll be even more irrelevant here in a couple of years. Judge is still killing it. New York's got the best record in the league. So coming out of the All-Star break, it'll be interesting to see if they can keep that up. Like I said, once the All-Star break's over, we start rolling into August. I'll start talking a little more baseball just because that's when things start getting a little more interesting and worth paying attention to, in my opinion. 162 games is just too much. There's just absolutely no reason to have that.
I loved the COVID year.
62, right? They did like 52 or something like that.
I was into that. Like maybe 100. Give me 100. I'm okay with that.
I could see 100 easy. And if you do 100 between, start, I would say May 1st and run through the end of September and do 100 games, I think that'd be a lot better. And if you want to start, still April 1st or whatever, that's fine. I guess you'd probably have to start around April still if you want to give a little bit more time.
The fact that they play for April, May, June, July, August, September, almost into October.
If you make the playoffs, then you're playing all of October too. So you're playing 7 months out of the year. That's straight too. Not like I got some games here and there. It's pretty much every day you are playing baseball or you're traveling from April 1st to the end of September. And then if you make the playoffs, then that's just continuing for another month. So the baseball, it's just crazy, man.
There's only one other sport that does more than that. And you're a big fan of that sport.
That does more traveling?
More traveling and more their athletes work more than
basketball. You got to be talking basketball. Oh, okay. Fair. Yes. I mean, I guess technically they're on the road 365 if you want to say that, but not every guy is showing up every night. You know what I mean? Every Monday Night Raw doesn't have all their talent on. They roll through them and switch it up. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they're always on the road too.
Give kudos to the guys that can do that. I mean, it's long. It takes a lot out of you.
It's a grind for sure. And when people are like, you just gotta, travel and stay in hotels and stuff, dude, you spend an extended amount of time in a hotel and tell me you're still feeling like yourself. Bullshit.
Away from your family.
No way. Yeah, man. Not having your creature comforts that you like to have. I don't care how nice the hotel is. It's still a hotel.
Playing in the daytime at 100-degree heat. Like, come on.
Play at 9:00 one day and playing at noon the next day.
I think that was one of the main reasons. Like everybody's like, "Oh, I love going to ball games." I'm like, I don't. I have no interest in being out in 90 to 100 degree heat with a game that moves as slowly as baseball.
It depends.
Night
Depends.
games.
If
Night
I'm,
games, great.
like if I'm at Coors Field and I'm on the third base side, that sun starts hitting, the shaded areas start rolling in, and around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it becomes a lot more enjoyable with a beer in your hand. But yeah, man, if you're just sitting out there in the sun, like direct heat, it's tough. It is definitely tough. Speaking of WWE, though, we got SummerSlam here in a week and a half, so that'll be fun.
It's going to be a good time. John Cena's back, baby.
That's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting to see. Did you see me doing that to you before we started?
I did. I
thought. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar teeing off again. Hopefully it'll be better than the last time they fought, because that was terrible. Absolutely god-awful terrible. That's what I don't understand. How does somebody see that script and approve that? Like, no, yeah, that's a good way. We'll end the show on that note. Like, come on, guys. Come on.
So I will say, when I've watched Roman Reigns and I've watched a lot of what goes on, that the antics of the Usos and him are kind of what like made me not like wrestling for a while. There was a time where it's like every match got interrupted by somebody. Like there was somebody like pulling the ref out, or somebody, waiting till the ref didn't have his, wasn't looking, and he hit the guy over the head or something. Like there was always like a third party that got involved that had nothing to do with the two guys in the ring. That just got old. Like every once in a while, that's fine if you want to put that out, but like we can't use that as your normal ending to a match.
Agreed.
Gets old.
Watched flipping through the channels last night after the Home Run Derby. Came across a little movie called Fast and Furious Present Hobbs and Shaw. Forgot our boy Roman Reigns was in there in a very menial part. Gets a guy tossed to him from The Rock just so he can spear him.
Well, it's funny. I've been watching. It's one of the 20-minute comedies. The Rock has a show on ABC or.
I know which one you're talking about. Actually, not bad. Bad.
No, it's not bad, because it just you learn a lot about The Rock and his family.
Yeah, what's crazy is it's based on his life, with obviously some embellishments here and there, but for the most part, it's pretty realistic from everything I've read.
Like he's talking, and one of the kids he's talking with or talking about, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, that's my cousin. You guys might know him as Roman Reigns." And it's like, what? How did I not know this?
Yeah.
So
their dads were big time in the early 80s, mid 80s, something like that. So
I watched The Rock's dad wrestle. I'm old.
See, you're only a couple years older than me. I don't remember him. But I definitely remember, the Ultimate Warrior and Sting when he was still the man, and some of those guys from the early 90s, but I don't remember a lot from the 80s.
The 80s was that was my dad's thing. My dad was literally watching wrestling all the time.
Interesting.
And I would watch it with him, and it was like our thing. So yeah, I loved it. I just, again, I loved wrestling till probably about 2000, probably till the end of Stone Cold and The Rock. And that's
when I left for a while.
That's when I got to that point of okay, every match is ending because somebody else is involved.
And now you and me have come back around a little bit.
Thank you, Peacock.
Yeah. Well, plus when it gets to the dead season, there's no Monday Night Football. Raw's fun to watch. It just it gives you something to do for a couple hours.
It's entertaining. The next time it comes, I think I want to go.
I could be down with that, actually. Kaylee almost got me tickets one time. She's like, "You like this, don't you?" I was like, "I don't know if I'd actually want to go." Like, no, don't do that. But you know what? I could be down maybe if you and I want to go. Shoot, maybe even take the wives and make a date night out of it just for shits and giggles.
It's one of the best, one of my favorites. If you remember who those guys are.
No.
The Bushwhackers.
Oh, the Bushwhackers. Yeah, I do know who you're talking about. I was a fan of Gold Dust, and my dad hated that because he was convinced like he was gay and like trying to get with people on purpose and stuff. My dad was not a fan of like using that like sexuality in the ring. He could care less now. I think it was more because I was like a little kid watching it with him that he didn't really care for that being portrayed. Now he laughs about it, but I loved how he would like just mess with people's minds all the time and just get in their heads. I always loved that. And then Sting doing the crazy entrances, dropping down from the jumbotrons, and big fan of Goldberg. Those fireworks would go off, and he'd just come walking through them, and you knew somebody was about to get their ass beat.
Oh man, I see. My guys are Jake the Snake and Sergeant Slaughter and Junkyard Dog. I'm a little bit older, but
slightly, yeah. I mean, those guys were still there a little bit on the the older side of things, and it was like that was when they would just kind of like pick each other up and throw each other down, maybe give a forearm or a clothesline. Like they didn't do a whole lot, and that's why they never quite interested me. Now Jake the Snake was cool because he came out with a giant boa constrictor all the time, so that was always going to
he'd always lay it on you.
Yeah, exactly. So
and then every so often you'd see the snake actually pee on people, which was fun.
Yeah, always good times. But no, like Undertaker, and that's when I really started to really like it because they were doing Shawn Michaels. Degeneration X was awesome. Back when Triple H, right before he became Triple H, he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Sir Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
And he could hang out with the British Bulldog.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, I know all those guys you're talking about, and I watched it then, but it didn't really quite catch my attention until some of that new blood started coming through after basically what I call Hulk Hogan's generation. Love Macho Man. Don't get me wrong. I love me some Macho Man. Coming off the top ropes with the elbow. Boom. Macho Man was the man. Ric Flair. I was a big fan of Ric Flair too, actually, now that I think about it. Just doing the walk. Woo!
I do that. I got my daughter to do that with me.
Nice.
And then she'll do that randomly. She'll just go, woo! She's like, Daddy, do it with me. Woo!
Nice.
Gotta like Ric Flair. Ric Flair's a good guy.
Yeah, Ric Flair's
he's gone through some shit, but he's a good guy.
Well, I mean, I know what you mean.
But anybody who wrestles, and again, they didn't always make a lot of money. Those guys have gone through some stuff. Agreed.
Who's your guy now? Like out of this new era that we're watching right now, who's your guy?
Oh man. Just based on like his size and everything, I like Bobby Lashley.
Okay.
But his storylines are always so weak.
Yeah, Bobby can't really act, I think, is part of the problem. He doesn't have that crowd presence, if you will.
I do like McIntyre.
Yes, I love McIntyre. The Claymore. Gotta love me some McIntyre.
I'm Scottish, so I get it. I would wear I'd have a kilt and a big sword too. I get it.
Yeah.
Like that would be my thing. But probably Drew McIntyre is probably my favorite. There's a couple guys. I enjoyed the guy that came out with the weird looking mask. He was cool, but they got rid of him.
He started off with his brothers, right? And then he kind of went way crazy.
I mean, at the very least, I still do like Rey Mysterio Jr. I do like him.
Never been a Mysterio fan. I've never liked him. I mean, I don't dislike him. I've just never. Yeah, I could care less about Rey Mysterio, honestly. I like Seth Rollins. Seth freaking Rollins. I like him. I love the curb stomp. Big fan of the curb stomp.
I think Seth freaking Rollins could be an actor, actually, if he wanted to be.
Yeah, I like Seth. I like Randy Orton and his bro buddy. Why am I drawing a blank on his name?
Oh, you're talking about
Riddle?
the Riddle. Yeah. Oh, I don't like Riddle at all.
I like Riddle. Goes out there all barefoot, karate, taekwondo style, and then he's just got that like he's always high because he probably is always high.
That dude's got nothing to him. I don't like that guy at all.
I like him. I like
Randy Orton. I like Orton, but I don't like Riddle at all. Like that makes no sense to me.
No, it's a weird shtick that they gave him.
I do like Rhea Ripley. And again, that might just be like
Rhea.
That might just be like I think she's kind of hot sometimes, and other times I'm just like, ooh, girl. But you know.
Yeah, she's kind of like Bobby Lashley for me. She just doesn't really have a presence about her. So I can't really get behind her.
She has a presence until she opens her mouth.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that actually.
She's monstrous. She's big.
Yeah, she walks out. She's got good body language, and then she starts talking, and you're like, you lost me. Like, never mind. I love the. I like Liv Morgan. She always seems like an underdog, so I've kind of always liked her because she always seems like she's fighting uphill.
She's smoking hot too. That doesn't hurt.
I mean, yeah, that's true. And then I'm drawing a blank on the name. The one that has the doll. She went like really dark and crazy for a while, and now she's like kind of back to her old self, but she still walks around with the doll.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I'm blank on her name. But I like her because she seems like she's really tiny, comparatively to some of these other girls now that are out there. But she's got a lot of acrobatics that I really like, which is that kind of stuff always impresses me. When you're coming off the top rope and doing a couple flips and stuff like that's insane to me. So those are probably the ones that I'm trying to think if there's anybody else off the top of my head right now. No, that's probably that's good.
I love watching Cena, but I'd rather watch him in movies now than wrestling. So
yeah. Cena and Rock, I could care less if they're back anymore. But I mean, The Rock in his prime was sweet. Love me some Rock. Stone Cold's probably my all-time favorite, honestly. At this point in time, he's probably my all-time favorite. Still think he's got the best entrance music. When you hear that glass break and he comes walking in with his strut just ready to just whoop some ass. Big fan of Stone Cold.
It's hard to hate Stone Cold. It really is. He just drinks beers and kicks ass. Can't hate on that.
And I mean, he drinks the official sponsor for the NFL, does he not? So.
Well, now he drinks his own beers.
Well, it's true. Now he's drinking his own stuff. No more Coors Light trucks driving into the arena. But
yeah, he was big fan of that Coors Light.
We'll segue into that, Pinky, because we'll be hanging out here watching the wrestling soon enough. But segue in. What do we got for NFL speak today?
Well, we did promise, like last week, we promised that we would do the NFC South this week. And, I went through, kind of looked through things. It's pretty easy. I think there's one team, if you can guess it, that's going to be the worst team in the division.
Falcons.
Hands
perfect. Down. Hands down.
I have no doubt that they're going to be the worst, and I think it's okay. They're still building their identity. They're still trying to build up some depth on their team.
They got a lot of holes.
They don't. They have a couple guys on defense. Deion Jones. They've got that corner that's pretty good, but they don't have a lot. They don't really have an edge rusher on defense right now. They're just still needing to build up. So they should suck for a while, get those top 10 picks, and just keep rebuilding.
I think they're going to have some solid fantasy producers this year, though, just because they're going to be playing from behind a lot.
Maybe.
I think so, man.
Maybe. So they did trade Matt Ryan, which, again, you trade an older quarterback you're paying a lot of money to. I don't hate it. That's fine. Like, you do what you have to do to really blow it up and start over, right? They did bring in Marcus Mariota.
I think, honestly, I truly believe, and, SP and I had been on this before anything was even announced where he was going, but I truly believe Arthur Smith is going to be able to do the same thing for Mariota that he did for Tannehill.
Well, Arthur Smith was still there in Tennessee when Mariota was still there.
He was not the offensive coordinator, though, was he?
No, he was not.
Exactly.
He was like quarterback's coach, I think.
Exactly. So he didn't have his hand on the wheel. You know what I mean? Now he does.
So, but they drafted. Now, again, going through their draft picks, they drafted Drake London at 8. Little high for me.
I could see him being a big boom or a big bust. Like I can't put my finger on how he's going to do.
I don't know. Then they grabbed Arnold Ekabede from Penn State. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Could be the alcohol. Could be it's a hard name to say. Who knows?
Oh, I'll give you both.
They drafted Troy Anderson. I love Troy Anderson, linebacker from Montana State. He was like a do-it-all. He can play fullback. He can play linebacker. He can throw the ball a little bit, and he's got a little bit of tight end in him as well. So I do like that guy's versatility. Then they drafted Desmond Ritter at 74 out of Cincinnati, which
I think that was a wasted pick for them.
I don't think he's the most gifted guy, but I do like his leadership.
I agree. I think he could be a serviceable NFL 10-year starter. Like, honestly. I think Mariota, though, if he can do what I think he's going to do with Arthur Smith, Ritter will never touch the field. And they have so many other holes that it just wasn't worth reaching at a quarterback in, what did they get him in the 4th round, I think? End of the 3rd?
74, so he would have been 3rd round.
3rd round. Middle to end of the 3rd round. I personally didn't like it. I in that spot because I do think Mariota is going to be the answer there for a few years. Just like I think Mitch Trubisky is going to be the answer in Pittsburgh for a few years.
I do not, because I think they're going to suck enough that they could probably draft a good quarterback.
So I'll give you that. That is the kicker. They finish low enough, and you get a chance to make a run at a Bryce Young, a C.J. Stroud, Arch Manning in a couple of years. If he turns out all right, then yeah, you're done with Marcus Mariota.
I think Mariota is at a level that if your defense is good and you've got some decent weapons and skill players on offense, he can win enough games to be right near the playoffs. Like he could be or get you in.
I honestly think people are seriously underrating Mariota. I mean, I think people are forgetting he's a number 1 or number 2. Winston went 1, but he's a former number 2 overall pick, a Heisman Trophy winner.
He's the guy that
he's known for being crazy accurate coming out of college.
He needs good things around him in order to be successful.
I don't think he does, Pinky. I think his play calling, his offensive coordinator and head coach were just trash when he was in Tennessee. And they did it was square peg round hole. How many times do I talk about that with the NFL? Square peg round hole. If you're that talented, you should be able to run our offense. They never built the offense around his skill set, ever. And I think Arthur Smith will. I truly do. And I do believe if that's – Mariota's only, 28, 29, something like that? Where did I put my phone? He's still young enough where he could do a 5-6 year deal easy and be something to build around.
What have we learned in the NFL? Normally, your 3rd chance isn't because you're really good.
Well, this isn't his 3rd chance, though. This is his 2nd chance because he went to Oakland to try and kind of rebuild, learn.
Hey, that's on him. He never had a chance to start there unless Derek Carr got hurt, and he only got hurt once.
He knows that, though. I think that's why he did. Same way Mitch Trubisky went to Buffalo. He knew he wasn't playing. Mariota's only 28, dude. If he balls out this year, they could easily sign him for a mid-level deal that would be a steal for them and play for another 6 years solid, and they could build around him easy. And I can see that happening, honestly.
I think he's one and done.
Not if he plays well. Not if he plays well.
I don't think he's going to play that well. I don't.
I'm telling you right now, he's going to be this year's Ryan Tannehill when Tannehill went to Tennessee. And people are going to be surprised.
But with this kind of roster, what does that really equal out to? Nothing.
It doesn't matter because if you already know you have the quarterback piece, you can use all that draft capital on somebody else.
So the over-under.
Thank you, Dean.
The Falcons.
Thank you.
is 5.
Yeah, and that's I would probably take the under on that, to be perfectly honest with you.
The under is -150. The over is +125.
Yeah, I'm not taking the over on that for sure.
I don't see 5 wins. I don't. So
Now
yeah.
again,
Under.
week and a half at SummerSlam, Peaky and I will be going through the NFL schedule, and we'll have this laid out to see what we really think. But just initial thought, I don't see them going over 5. But I do honestly believe Mariota plays well, and I also think a guy that they drafted that you didn't mention, I think he becomes the starting running back by the second half of the year, Tyler Algier.
I'm still not impressed by him, even if he does. Like, I don't think it's going to matter much.
What don't you like about him?
He's okay.
Dude, he can easily be this year's Elijah Mitchell. Like, goes under the radar, not necessarily undrafted per se, but goes under the radar, solid college career, and then comes out and does some really great things.
Maybe. I think their O-line still sucks, so I don't see that happening.
Look, if Cordell Patterson could do what he did last year with that offensive line, all they need is a real running back, and he can do things too.
Well, hold on. Cordell Patterson is literally that guy. Get the ball in his hands, he makes things happen.
He didn't do that. Dude, last year he just hit the hole, which Mike Davis was unwilling to do.
Consistency, he didn't quite have that consistency to get the yardage numbers, but you could put the ball in space, you can get him on sweeps, you could dump it to him. Like, Patterson was a special weapon last year.
I think he becomes even more special if Tyler Algier can actually be a good back with him, and they can rotate him in and out, because then you can do more things with Patterson. And use Patterson in more of almost a Deebo Samuel role, and let Algier run more of the standard running back stuff. With Pitt, and if Drake London's legit, they could have some possible okay weapons on offense, man.
I'm not feeling it. I think that O-line's still garbage, so I'm not feeling it. But that's my opinion.
Like I said, I think there's some fantasy darlings on that team, regardless of the O-line.
Well, I mean, with garbage time, you could be right.
We'll see. But again, I'm not giving them some kind of like magical playoff run or anything. I think
they're gonna have some garbage time. Believe that.
Absolutely. Where are we going next, Pinky? I think I know, but where are we going next?
The Carolina Panthers.
So I'm gonna bold prediction. Well, I don't want to call it a prediction because I'm not quite predicting this. I still got some debating to do. But I said I could see Jacksonville taking a huge leap, and I could see them in a scenario where they make the playoffs. I said that about Jacksonville last week. I could see that happening. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't catch me off guard. I could see the same thing for Carolina, honestly. And it really comes down to if they can get good quarterback play, because they've got the weapons and they've got the defense.
Let's be completely honest. The NFC in general is weak enough that there's a way for most teams to make the playoffs.
I won't say it's weak, but I will say it's not as top heavy as the AFC.
Like, there are teams in the AFC that are going to be fighting for that last 7th playoff spot that you should be like, if you put any of those teams in the NFC, they've won their division. Like,
I would probably not disagree with you there.
I just think that NFC, you've got your top 3 teams, and after that, it's anybody's game. Like, yes, the Panthers could make. I agree with you on that. The Panthers could make the playoffs on that, because again, there's just not enough.
On offense, though, I mean, let's be honest. On offense, they have. You could put them skill position wise with some of the top dogs.
Maybe.
It's the quarterback play that brings them down to earth. But you got, your McCaffrey, your DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson has proven he can be a really solid 2. They've got some guys that can do some damage. It just, if they can't get solid quarterback play, then it really doesn't matter. I still think Darnold wins that competition. If it's a true competition, I still think Darnold beats Baker out.
I think Baker's a better leader than Darnold. And I
he
think
might be a
Baker,
better leader, but if you already have leaders on the team, you want the better talent. I think Darnold's the better talent.
what QB doesn't Dean out there? What QB doesn't need better skill players around him to be great?
I already thanked him for that comment.
Oh, did you? I didn't. I don't
Yeah.
see that in the thing.
Well, I don't type anything. I can't type in the chat. I said it out loud. I said, "Thank you, Dean."
Oh no! Well, I don't say thank you. Let's comment on this. I think Mahomes.
He said that about Atlanta when you were talking smack about Mariota.
Yeah, I think there's quarterbacks and there's only a few of them that they can make the players around them better, and they don't need the top talent around them to make their team a playoff team. And then there's quarterbacks that Mariota. I think Aaron Rodgers does a great job of masking a lot. Tom Brady. Tom Brady played.
I don't think Tom Brady's that guy.
I think he is. Now, again, he's in a situation now. He's not. He's got Mike Evans. He's got Godwin. He's got system guys that work. But back in New England in those days,
that was the system. Brady's good. Don't get me wrong. Brady's good, but you put him on some of those Aaron Rodgers teams, and he doesn't put up near the same numbers Aaron Rodgers does.
He might, and I'm not a Brady lover, but he might.
Nope, I don't think he does.
I think he's one of those guys. I think Russell Wilson's one of those guys.
I could give you Russ.
I think Josh Allen could be one of those guys.
I think he is one of those guys. Now, he's got weapons, so you may not necessarily know it right now, but he's developed into one of those guys. I'll give you that for sure. I don't think Pat Mahomes is. I think Pat Mahomes has to have you get rid of Kelsey and Tyreek, and you give him what he has now.
When he's playing within the system, and he makes Demarcus Robinson look good, and he makes Byron Pringle look good.
But he didn't make them look good. They had a couple games here and there where they had one big catch, and all of a sudden people are talking.
But they're not great players, and he made them look good because again, when people covered Hill and Kelsey, he would dump it off.
No, see, I think that's where you're wrong. Hill and Kelsey made them look good because they're getting double teamed. So all Mahomes has to do is throw it up in the air 80 yards, and if they just run under it enough, they can catch the ball. Pat Mahomes is good. I still think he's a little overrated, to be honest with you. I think if you take away the talent around him, like, again, you give him Aaron Rodgers teams from the past couple of years, I don't think Pat Mahomes looks like Pat Mahomes.
This guy. Hot take alert. Hot
I
take.
don't get the hot take. I don't. I just don't, man. Pat Mahomes is good. I think he's really good. I think he's easily top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I think there's a handful of guys like we've talked about. He's probably top 5 right now. But, I think people have been – maybe it's just because I think people have been so down on Rodgers and they don't realize what he's carried all these years, that Green Bay has given him nothing other than Devontae Adams. I mean, they wouldn't even let Aaron Jones run the ball like everybody said they should have. So I think there's I think if Andy Reid goes and Travis Kelce goes, I think you start watching Pat Mahomes struggle.
I'll be honest. If Andy Reid has a heart attack on the field like he should, yes, Pat Mahomes will not be as good. I'll say that for sure. It definitely.
I think Josh Allen is going to prove that he can continue to grow. I think having Dabble there and that coaching staff that he had around him and giving him time to progress was a huge deal for him. But I think he's going to continue to progress. Aaron Rodgers obviously has just been stellar. I don't think Pete Carroll. I like the Russell Wilson take. I don't think Pete Carroll ever did Russ any favors, and he's continued to get better and show out when he's been given the opportunity. I don't know what it is. I think Pat Mahomes is really good, but he is a guy that I think has to have the really good pieces around him to be really good.
Again, being a Broncos fan, being a Chiefs hater, I do love watching him play, but the running around and running 15 yards backwards and just chucking the ball will only go so far. And now that you don't have Tyreek, I don't know if that's going to be available. I don't know.
Here's one. that we haven't mentioned, and it still kind of pains me that he's in the position he is because I was so high on him. Top 3 in the league, easy, I said before all this shit went down. Deshaun Watson is one of those guys that can make people around him better and raise the talent level. What he did in Houston for a lot of those dudes was crazy.
He had not played with the best of talent for the most of the time. I would agree with that.
I mean, he never had an offensive line. Look what happened to Pat Mahomes without an offensive line. He looked average most of those games. Deshaun Watson looked electric without an offensive line. So imagine what he would do with an offensive line.
Well, okay. But he still went 4-12, though, too. So.
Well, you can only do so much as one guy.
That's just like if you've got a shitty O-line, he did look electric. He did put up great numbers. He still went 4-12, though.
I mean, I'd see Pat doing the same thing there. You know what I mean? But not looking as electric. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm just not as high as everybody else seems to be on Patrick Mahomes.
I see a lot of things in his game. If you take some of the scheming out, you take Andy Reid out. And again, Andy Reid's still there. Travis Kelce's still there. You did take Tyreek Hill out. Tyreek Hill saved his ass a lot. Not having Tyreek Hill there is going to be a big deal. They're trying to downplay it with Juju and MVS. Not having Tyreek is a big deal.
So we got off subject a little bit because I was talking.
Absolutely. Somehow we're talking about Patrick Mahomes. And
I apologize, but
Panthers.
Going back to QB play and raising the talent around you, I still think Darnold hasn't quite gotten a true shot. Part of it's his fault. Part of it is just the circumstances around him. The Jets that should be a wash. Nobody should ever talk about his time at the Jets as a negative towards him. He started off good last year. He started off really good last year, actually.
He was 3-0.
He got hurt. A couple other people got hurt, and they took a plummet quickly.
It was McCaffrey. He was 3-0 with McCaffrey, and then it went downhill.
So I don't know, and it baffles me to see everybody out there, all these pundits that do this for a living professionally, say Baker is hands down the starter regardless of an open competition. Like, Baker hasn't shown me anything that is better than what Darnold can do. All Baker did was have the best offensive line in the NFL, the 2 best running backs, arguably, in the NFL as a duo, and decent wide receiver play.
I think Darnold is the better physically gifted quarterback. I think Baker's the better leader in the huddle.
And to me, I don't give a shit about you being a leader in the huddle. Like, if my leader is somewhere else on the team, if Ray Lewis proved that you don't have to be the quarterback to be the leader of the team. And I can't stand Ray Lewis. Cannot stand him. I think that dude should have been in jail.
Stop. Nope, there is no Ray Lewis bad talk on this podcast.
Oh, yes, there is. There absolutely is.
There's not.
Fake born-again Christian ass having, should be in jail, taking it from behind Ray Lewis. Yeah, I said it. Ridiculous. But Darnold, to me, has proven that he can lead an offense, and that's all I need from my quarterback. I don't need you to be the team leader. I just need you to lead the offense, and he's proven he can do that for me. He just needs everybody around him to stay healthy.
All right.
And he's got some injury concerns as well, so I won't deny that. He's got some injury concerns as well.
So they didn't do a whole lot in free agency. They brought back Deontay Jackson, Xavier Woods, Austin Corbett to play guard. They did bring in Deontay Foreman, who looked like he had some good games last year.
He's bounced back from his Achilles injury. He's not quite back to his old self from his Texas days and being able to run over everybody, but he looked pretty good last year.
The best thing they did in the draft is they drafted what could be the best left tackle in Ike Ekwonu.
Most athletic for sure, in my opinion. He can run block 50 yards downfield, and he can pass protect well enough.
And then their next draft pick was Matt Corral, which I'm like,
was a waste in my opinion.
I mean, if you're going to trade for Baker, you have Sam Darnold. I don't know what I don't know what this team's like identity or strategy or anything is. I don't.
Here's my thing. I think Matt Rule is the next college coach to fail in the NFL. I think he just can't figure it out. I think the Matt Corral pick was a shot in the dark,
No,
a prayer, whatever you want to call it.
They drafted him before trading for Baker.
Yeah, but here's my thing. This is why it doesn't matter.
Nothing for Baker.
He's not going to be the answer long term from anything I've seen. And if that's the case, let yourself tank and then be in the CJ Stroud, the Bryce Young, the whatever else is coming out sweepstakes. There's no reason to go grab him when you have so many other holes to fill.
I think when they have McCaffrey and DJ Moore and they have a pretty good defense, I just don't think they're going to be like that team to be at the top. I just don't.
And I'll say it again. Buffalo should have traded their first round pick for McCaffrey, and Carolina should have totally accepted that and started filling all the other holes they have on their roster, because McCaffrey alone, while explosive and insane, he's not going to be able to do it long term enough. Unless you build real quick here the next 2 years, you're going to waste McCaffrey's prime, and he's not going to be there when you need him.
Exactly.
Now, the only exception to that will be if McCaffrey truly can move out to the slot and become, which I think he can, I think he become one of the top 10 receivers in the league and do some backfield work from time to time. Oh, no, you wouldn't, Dean. No, you wouldn't. Dean, no, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. We'll get to your Vikings. You stay with us. We'll get to the NFC North. You stick with us the next couple of weeks and we'll get there. But no, Dean. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. No.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not.
You keep Baker over Cousins, and you're going to be regretting that within the first 3 weeks of the season. Cousins doesn't do anything fancy. He doesn't do anything the best, but he's better than Baker.
I think Cousins is like the new. So I used to love NFL Network, the all around the NFL podcast. They used to have a thing they would do, and they called it the Andy Dalton line. And the Andy Dalton line was like that level of quarterback play. Are you better or worse than Andy Dalton? And he was like middle of the road.
Yep.
So if you were better than Andy Dalton, good quarterback, pay that guy. If you were worse, why bother? Right?
This is the analogy I'll give you. Kirk Cousins is Andy Dalton on steroids. A little bit better. Not necessarily great because you're using steroids and there's some issues that come with that, but a little bit better. Baker Mayfield is a poor man's Andy Dalton.
I'm not the biggest Kirk Cousins guy, but I'm excited to see him with an actual offensive coach that can coach offense.
Yo, people were real down on Cousins in Washington, but I kept saying he looked good there with Shanahan.
The Vikings last season lost more one score games than any team. Like if they win any of those, they're right there.
Bring it back. We'll get to Cousins. Bring it back. NFC South. Bring it back.
All right. Panthers over under is 6.5.
I like the over. I do.
You like the over?
I do. Now, granted, that means
105,
everybody stayed healthy and things went right for them, which is probably a big risk, but I do like the over there.
The over is plus 1.5 or 105. 105.
I like it.
The under is negative 125.
Next team, I believe, could be the best team in the NFC South, but will not have the best record. And their biggest loss to me is not the quarterback that retired a couple years ago now. It's the head coach that they lost and who they replaced him with on top of that.
It's a gigantic loss.
New Orleans Saints, ladies and gentlemen.
Sean Payton is a gigantic loss.
Huge. And to replace him with Dennis Allen, did they not see anything of his previous head coaching experiences? Like, what were you thinking? Oh, wait, it's the Bensons. Never mind.
I think they were thrown off guard. He didn't retire right away. He waited till after most of the coaches were hired.
I will guarantee they knew it was coming, and they tried to convince him otherwise and didn't want to believe it.
Hello, Caleb.
Why are you looking at me so much?
So, the Saints losing Sean Payton, they did decide to bring back Jameis Winston, Crabman.
Didn't play bad until he got hurt. He was actually playing really well.
They were winning.
He was playing well, Pinky.
His numbers weren't great, but
they were good.
Winning.
They were good. I didn't say great, but they were good.
They also brought in Andy Dalton as well.
Nobody learned? Does nobody learn?
But Taysom Hill is no longer a quarterback.
He's a tight end.
He is a tight end.
On the depth chart, anyways.
They did bring in Marcus May from the Jets to safety. I do like that move a lot. They did let Teron Armstead leave. That hurts, I think. He was a good left tackle.
I agree.
So that really hurts. They did replace they did draft Chris Olave and Trevor Penning.
Great picks by them.
Penning can play left or right, and Chris Olave could be the best route running receiver in the draft.
He's their number one receiver. I think Michael Thomas is done. I'll be surprised if he can come anywhere close to form. So Olave is going to be their number one.
I don't think Michael Thomas is a lot. What I'm confused about
I know where you're going with this.
Trading their pick next year to get an extra pick this year.
It made no sense.
Now,
the deal they made with the Eagles made no sense for the Saints.
If you are I know I'm making the playoffs, I've got the best roster, make that deal now, all in. I'm cool with that. With Jameis Winston, do you really know if you're the best team?
I think Jameis is hugely underrated. Hugely underrated. Here's the kicker, though. Sean Payton was going to be what took him to the next level. Without Sean Payton, I think you're going to see a little bit closer to the Jameis Winston that got him kicked out of the Bucs. 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. Now, hopefully he learned from Drew Brees. Hopefully he learned from Sean Payton. And if you can get 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 20 interceptions from Winston, you probably would be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think the biggest question mark with the Saints is, and I'm actually hearing, is going to be Alvin Kamara. And I'm hearing that his trial is going to get postponed until after the season. So he's not even going to see a suspension this year. And Dean, don't worry, I represent Big Red Plenty. These guys are learning. They're learning. We're going to come back strong this year. They're going to have to listen to me talk this year. The U ain't shit, son. The U ain't shit.
We'll have a better year than you guys.
Nebraska owns the U.
We'll have a better year than the Huskers this year.
You won't. You won't. You won't.
We will.
You won't.
We will.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
Put it down on the board. We're good.
Nope. After we roll over Oklahoma week, what is that? Week 4, week 5, people are going to start paying attention again. I'm going to tell you that right now. GBR,
right.
Baby. GBR.
So I'm not sure what the Saints are doing. I don't like their coach.
The Bensons, dude. The Bensons. Everybody keeps saying, oh, they've turned it around. They're a good franchise now. No, Sean Payton turned it around.
Jameis Winston is okay, but the over-under is 8 wins.
I think there's enough talent still on that team to get that 8 wins. I don't know if they can go over the 8, though. 8 and 9 I can see very easily.
The over is negative 135, so Vegas says the over is going to happen. The under is plus 115.
It's going to be interesting to go through their schedule. That's one of the ones I'm really interested to go through and look at. They had Tampa's number still for some reason, but again, that was Sean Payton. That wasn't Dennis Allen.
They beat the Bucks twice last year.
I know, but again, Sean Payton did that, not Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen is not a good head coach. Period.
He's not. And again, it is okay to be a defensive coordinator and not a head coach. It's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
It's also okay to be a defensive guy and be a head coach. Just Dennis Allen has a track record saying he can't do it. Like, I don't know what else you want. Like, how many opportunities does a dude get to prove that he can't handle the job?
And then we have the NFC South current champs and 2022 champs, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The whole thing is Brady's back. I don't think he wanted to be back.
No, he wanted in Miami, and we've discussed that in length, how that all went down. Party boat didn't work out in Brady's favor.
Somehow he's back. They brought Fournette back.
Who's 30 pounds overweight, apparently, and everybody's very unhappy with him.
I mean, it's not training camp yet. We'll see what happens.
Never been a big Fournette guy. I think they made a mistake letting Rojo walk. I think they made a big mistake letting Rojo walk.
I would not have let Rojo walk. I would have kept Rojo, bring back Gio Bernard like they did. They did bring in Russell Gage and Logan Ryan.
I think that Russell Gage is going to be a sneaky big move, especially with the fact that Godwin – my guess is Godwin doesn't play the first month of the season. They bring him along a little bit slower. But once Godwin's back, if he can get back to form by mid-year or so, Evans, Godwin, and Gage is going to be dangerous.
And my guy finally retired.
He's done, too, this time, I think. I don't think there's any way he's coming back.
I think he's done. I think he is.
Gronk is living the retired life.
I think he's okay with it. His girlfriend / fiance, I don't know where they're at there, but I think he's okay doing other things.
I mean, when you can go down in the conversation and argue and be a legit argument that you're the greatest tight end to ever play, there's really no reason to come back if your body isn't feeling it.
I mean, it's Gronk, Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, Shannon Sharp.
No. Antonio Gates was good. He's not in that conversation. It is Shannon Sharp, Gonzalez, and Gronk. That's it. That is it. Gates is a step below all those guys. And I hate saying that because Gates was great and fun to watch, but he is not on those three level. He's just not.
I'm pretty sure Gates has more touchdowns than all of them.
Yeah, but he didn't block. He did not block.
He did not block.
He was more of a red zone threat than he was a down the field threat like the other three could be.
I guess that'll be the conversation in the future because Travis Kelce is going to be Hall of Fame, and Travis Kelce will be considered. He doesn't really block.
Kelce could definitely put his name in the conversation because he's just so deadly. Gates was not nearly as deadly as Kelce is. And the other guy that if he can stay healthy has a chance to put his name in that conversation possibly is Kittle. Kittle
will not. He won't.
Why?
Because he can't stay healthy.
So
he's too physical. He's too physical. Will not stay healthy.
You could be right. But there's people now who are listing him as the number one tight end in the league over Kelce.
I mean, if you talk about the overall, Kittle is the best tight end. Period. From his blocking to what he can do. But he's not healthy enough. He's not available. Kelce is.
It does hurt him. But I think he's only 28 too. So if he can find a way to stay healthy and play another 5 to 6 years, he could put his name in the conversation.
Back to the Buccaneers.
Digress. Sorry. Digress.
We get so excited.
I know. Tangents left and right.
They did draft a Logan Hall at 33, who's an edge player. They drafted Luke Godet at tackle, and they drafted Cade Oten at tight end. Those were their main three guys they drafted. Here's the question. The over-under is 11.5.
I got to look at their schedule before I can give you that one because I could easily see them going under that.
The over is plus 100. The under is negative 120. Pretty close.
They won last year? 11?
I think they won 11 or 12.
Last year?
Yeah.
Because Green Bay had 12, right? Green Bay had 12.
Green Bay
last
was
year.
at like 13.
13. They were 13. That's right.
They were the number seed.
Yeah, I gotta look at their schedule before I give you that one for sure. That one I'm on the fence about because I can see that going many different ways. They are thin. They are thin. So they don't have like any depth. So if guys start getting hurt or something, they are SOL.
They have some depth on defense. They do not have a lot of depth on offense.
I mean,
their offensive depth is pretty weak.
In the back end, they do, but like their line was what really made that defense. Their defensive line was Sue and Vadavea and
Pierre Paul.
Right, and then you start bringing in the linebackers. That's what opened up everything for those boys. I don't know, man. I don't know if they have the depth that they can overcome the injuries for another year. And they're older. They're one of the oldest teams in the league, aren't they?
Yeah, I do think, again, the NFC, it's the Rams, it's the Bucks, it's the Packers, and it's the Eagles for me are the top 4 teams in the
I could see the Eagles being there. We'll get there. The Eagles have definitely put themselves in a position, though. They are very talented. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. Where are we heading next week, Pinky?
The AFC East.
AFC East. Interesting. All right. I like it.
I'm trying to go like first divisions to best divisions.
Okay. I see where we're headed. That makes sense. You lucked out this year, so the division you really want to talk about just happens to be the best. So we get to finish with it for 2 different reasons this year. So I like it.
Yeah, I think the AFC East with the Jets I think the Dolphins are actually pretty good, but that's like they're still not.
Dolphins could be sneaky playoff team. Easily a sneaky playoff team, wild card. But that'll be something we'll have to look at their schedule and really kind of decide how sneaky they could really be. But they've definitely done some things to have the talent to put themselves in a position possibly.
Yeah, buddy.
The Jets could also be sneaky good. Not good enough for the playoffs, but sneaky good enough to be, an upset issue.
Competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. I do like Saleh. We all like Saleh coming in. I think he's finally got some pieces this year to possibly do something. So that'll be interesting. The Bills are the cream of the crop. I think the Patriots are going to take a step back, but we'll go into it next week in more detail and really run through it.
Yeah, buddy. I'm telling you. Ooh, training camp, like a lot of teams, their rookies reported this week.
Yeah, they did.
And by the weekend, all of the rookies will report for all teams.
Week and a half before
so
the
close.
Who's in the Hall of Fame game? Why am I drawing a blank?
I'm drawing a blank. I don't
Give
even
me
know.
a second. Let me pull it up because they report in like a week and a half.
No, their rookies already reported.
Well, I mean, like rookies don't count. I'm talking about when the guys actually have to show up.
Eight teams rookies reported today.
2022
Hall
of Fame game. Raiders and Jaguars. None of the starters are going to play, so it doesn't really matter. So that's, but interesting. All right. On that note, cheers, my boy. Always good catching up with you. Go spend that time with your family and loved ones. Tell them how much you care. Take advantage of the time you do have. We're out.
Peace.